1. How Marcus managed his emotions. As both a Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius faced a life filled with immense pressure, constant decision-making, and endless challenges. Through all of this, one of his most impressive qualities was his ability to manage his emotions, keeping them in check to maintain a clear and rational mindset. For Marcus, emotional control wasn't about suppressing feelings or ignoring them, but about understanding emotions, recognizing their source, and responding to them in a balanced way that aligned with his values and reason. In Meditations, Marcus often wrote about the importance of controlling one's emotions in order to act wisely. He recognized that emotions like anger, fear, frustration, and sorrow were natural human responses, but could easily cloud judgment if not managed effectively. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength, he wrote. To Marcus, controlling emotions wasn't a denial of their existence, but rather a conscious effort to prevent them from overriding reason. Emotions are inevitable, but they shouldn't dictate our actions. Marcus believed that emotions could be managed through the practice of self-reflection and mindfulness, by regularly examining his thoughts and feelings. And mindfulness, by regularly examining his thoughts and feelings, he gained a better understanding of the triggers behind his emotional responses. This self-awareness allowed him to pause before reacting impulsively, instead of letting anger or frustration control him. Marcus would remind himself of his Stoic principles, particularly the idea that external events are beyond his control and that the only thing he could truly control was his response. Stoicism teaches that emotions are often the result of our interpretations of events, rather than the events themselves. Marcus embraced this idea fully. For example, if someone insulted him or treated him unfairly, he recognized that his emotional response wasn't caused by the insult itself, but by his interpretation of the insult. By changing the way he viewed the situation, perhaps by seeing it as an opportunity to practice patience or compassion, he could change his emotional reaction. This detachment from emotion wasn't about becoming cold or unfeeling. Marcus valued empathy and kindness, but he understood that unchecked emotions could lead to irrational actions that harm oneself or others. By managing his emotions, Marcus could approach even the most challenging situations with a calm and composed mind, making decisions based on reason rather than impulse. For Marcus, controlling emotions was central to living a virtuous life. He knew that allowing emotions like anger or fear to take over could lead to rash decisions, poor judgment, and harm to others. His commitment to Stoicism helped him maintain inner peace, even in the face of adversity. And this emotional control allowed him to lead with wisdom, integrity, and compassion. 2. Separating emotion from thought. A key practice in Stoic philosophy, and one that Marcus Aurelius relied on heavily, was the ability to separate emotion from thought. The Stoics believed that emotions, particularly negative ones, arise not from external events but from our judgments and interpretations of those events. By learning to separate the raw emotion from the thoughts that fuel it, we can regain control over our feelings and respond to situations with clarity and reason. Marcus Aurelius emphasized this concept repeatedly in Meditations. He wrote, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." This simple statement encapsulates the Stoic approach to managing emotions. While we may feel an initial emotional response, we don't need to let it define our experience or control our actions. We have the power to step back, examine our thoughts, and decide how to respond. When we separate emotion from thought, we take the first step toward emotional resilience. This process begins with awareness. In moments of emotional intensity, whether it's anger, anxiety, or sadness, our first task is to recognize that we are experiencing an emotional response. This may seem obvious, but emotions often take hold so quickly and intensely that we react before we even realize what we're feeling. Marcus Aurelius practiced mindfulness to catch these emotional reactions before they escalated. By recognizing his emotions in the moment, he could pause and reflect before taking action. Once we become aware of our emotional state, the next step is to question the thoughts driving that emotion. For example, if someone cuts us off in traffic, our immediate emotional response might be anger. But when we take a step back, we can ask ourselves, what thoughts are fueling this anger? Am I assuming this person is disrespecting me? Am I expecting everyone to drive perfectly at all times? By examining the underlying thoughts, we can begin to see that much of our emotional reaction is based on assumptions or unrealistic expectations. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to consider the bigger picture when experiencing strong emotions. He would ask himself whether the issue at hand was truly worth getting upset about. This practice of putting things into perspective helped him prevent minor frustrations from turning into major emotional upheavals. He wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This mindset allowed Marcus to maintain control over his emotional responses, even in difficult situations. Separating emotion from thought also means recognizing that emotions are temporary. Marcus understood that emotions, no matter how intense, are fleeting by nature. This understanding can help us avoid overreacting to situations. By reminding ourselves that emotions will pass, we can avoid making decisions based on fleeting feelings that we might later regret. Through the practice of separating emotion from thought, Marcus Aurelius was able to approach life's challenges with a calm and rational mind. This Stoic technique allows us to step back from our immediate emotional reactions, assess our thoughts, and choose a more thoughtful and constructive response. 3. Example: remaining calm during conflict. Conflict is one of the most common situations in which emotions can easily spiral out of control, whether in personal relationships or professional settings. Conflicts often trigger intense emotional reactions like anger, frustration, and defensiveness. However, as Aurelius' teachings offer valuable guidance for remaining calm and composed in the face of conflict. Imagine a scenario where you're in a heated disagreement with a colleague at work. The project you've been working on together has hit a major roadblock, and tensions are running high. Your colleague accuses you of not pulling your weight and blames you for the setback. Instantly, you feel a surge of anger and defensiveness. Your first instinct might be to snap back and defend yourself, escalating the conflict. However, if you apply Stoic principles in this moment, you can choose a different response. The first step is to recognize your emotional reaction by becoming aware of the anger rising within you. You gain the opportunity to pause before reacting. Marcus Aurelius frequently emphasized the importance of this pause, writing how much more harmful are the consequences of anger than the circumstances that aroused them in us in this moment. You can remind yourself that reacting impulsively out of anger is likely to make the situation worse. Next, you separate the emotion from the thoughts driving it. Ask yourself, what assumptions am I making that are fueling my anger? You might realize that you're interpreting your colleague's criticism as a personal attack. But is that interpretation accurate? Is your colleague truly trying to harm you? Or are they expressing their frustration with the situation by examining your thoughts? You may find that your anger is based more on perception than reality. Once you've separated the emotion from the thought, you can choose how to respond instead of reacting defensively or escalating the conflict. You can take an now approach. Acknowledge your colleagues. Focus on finding a constructive solution to the problem. By controlling your emotions, you diffuse the conflict and demonstrate emotional resilience, even in a tense situation. This approach to conflict is central to Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius believed that maintaining emotional control in difficult situations is a sign of strength and wisdom. By remaining calm during conflict, we prevent ourselves from being swept away by negative emotions and instead focus on resolving the issue at hand with clarity and reason. Remaining calm during conflict doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing emotions. It means recognizing them, understanding their source, and choosing a response that aligns with our values. By practicing this approach, we can navigate conflicts with greater grace and effectiveness, avoiding unnecessary escalation and preserving our inner peace. 4. Developing emotional resilience. Emotional resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks, adapt to difficult situations, and maintain a sense of calm and balance in the face of adversity. For Marcus Aurelius, emotional resilience was a key component of living a virtuous and fulfilling life. He understood that life is full of challenges, but by cultivating emotional resilience, we can navigate those challenges without being overwhelmed by negative emotions. One of the ways Marcus Aurelius developed emotional resilience was by practicing what Stoics call negative visualization or premeditation of evils. This practice involves imagining worst-case scenarios in order to mentally prepare for them. Marcus would regularly reflect on the fact that he might face illness, loss, betrayal, or other hardships. By contemplating these possibilities in advance, he trained his mind to accept that adversity is a natural part of life. This practice didn't make him pessimistic. Rather, it strengthened his emotional resilience by reducing the shock and emotional turmoil that often accompany unexpected difficulties. Marcus Aurelius believed that emotional resilience is built through consistent practice of self-discipline and mindfulness. He encouraged himself to approach each day as an opportunity to strengthen his inner fortitude. He wrote, "Begin each day by telling yourself, 'Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. All of them do too.'" Through mindful preparation and self-discipline, by following these Stoic principles, we can cultivate emotional control, resilience, and inner peace, allowing us to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and grace.